All right, if you guys watching this video, you clearly have elbow pain, right? And the biggest reason is that because you can't load your scap, right? I'm sure your coach is telling you about it. You got to load the scap before you throw. But what does that mean, right? So your scap is your shoulder blades. Within your shoulder blades, you have all the stabilizing muscle, which is your rotator cuff, which is all the muscle that's stabilized right here. What I'm trying to teach you is that you got to learn how to engage those shoulder blades muscle for you to load the scap. Once you learn how to load the scap, you can actually create stability in this position, inside 90 position. So that way, when you come forward, you're not using your elbows to release the ball. You're actually using your shoulder blades to actually help you propel the ball forward. So the first exercise I'm gonna teach you is how to get you to feel that shoulder blades, how to load the scap, and let's get right into that. All right, so the first exercise we're gonna do is we're gonna need a band, and I'm gonna teach you guys how to load that scap properly. First thing we're gonna do on your throwing arm, you're gonna get a nice band with good resistance. And you wanna make sure that your shoulder is not hiking up, because then you're using your upper trap and you're not using your scap, right? So you wanna drop everything down, then you're gonna pull this back. Right then and there, you should feel the muscle back here engaging already, right? From there, all we're gonna do is teaching you to load the external rotators by bringing this up right there, right? We're gonna hold that there, bring that back down nice and slow, bring it back. Pull, rotate. You should feel a lot of tension in the back of your shoulders by that shoulder blades. This is what it means to load the scap, okay? I like for all my pitchers, all my throwing athletes to do this as part of their warm-up. So that way you can actually wake up your brain to be like, okay, this is what loading the scap feels like. And because these are little muscle, I like to wake it up by doing between 12 to 15 reps for 2 to 3 sets. Notice how I bring it down really nice and slow because I wanna keep that tension in the back of the shoulder. Again, pay attention so that you're not hiking up your shoulder. You're not recruiting your upper trap. You're only recruiting the posterior cuff, which is all your external rotators. Now, after you do a handful of these, you're gonna realize that like, oh man, they get tired really quickly. And this is part of your arm care routine where you can strengthening your posterior cuff so that way you don't have that elbow pain. The one thing we notice when we have someone who has a history of elbow pain with pitching is that they're having a hard time engaging these muscles back here. So we're gonna do 5 more of these till you feel that already. You should feel the burn. And we would do this right before we put the ball in your hand. If you look at history of all the major league pitchers when they're tearing their UCL and all the pros guys that we work with is that they tend to have very, very limited external rotation and limited strength in their external rotators. So if you have aspiration of playing at a higher level in college and professional level, you gotta master this motion right here. Awesome. That's the first exercise. Okay, the second exercise I like to give all my pitchers is how to load end-range external rotation, okay? So all you're gonna need a nice plyo balls that we have, right? Nothing too heavy. This is 21 ounce, so it's not that heavy, so you can actually learn to facilitate those muscles without compensating by hiking up your shoulder, right? So all we're gonna do, you need a pad to support your elbow. The reason why is that because I don't want your ankle to be here, I want this to actually be parallel on the ground. So as I'm coming down here, I'm gonna get my shoulders to be at 90 degree. I'm gonna get my elbows to be at 90 degree because we want that inside 90 position, right? I'm gonna grab this right here, nice and tight. And all I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna pivot up and I'm gonna hold that right there and then down nice and slow. I'm gonna pivot, down nice and slow. And if you wanna engage the external rotators more, you wanna pivot up and then rotate your arms out. So the ball is gonna face outward, right? Because that's the position that you want to be when you're actually loading your scap right before you release the ball, right? And then you're gonna bring it back down, touch the ground, come back up, rotate out, rotate back in, come back down. Same thing, the rep scheme is gonna be 12 to 15. Again, this exercise is extremely hard. The one thing we always notice at Myokinetix here is that our patient who has history of elbow pain is having a hard time maintaining this position and then facing the ball outward, right? Because this requires extreme control in your rotator cuff. Again, 2 to 3 sets because they get tired really quickly. And this should be part of your arm care routine. From there, really engaged, you should feel this thing's burning up. And like I said before, we want to do this before you pitch to actually get your brain to feel what it's like to load that scap. And once you get tired, you're going to relax, and then you're going to pick it back up once again. You don't want to go to extreme fatigue because then you're going to reinforce bad movement pattern, right? So this is our second exercise to help you load your scap. All right, guys, next exercise we're going to do is going to be a weightless carry. This is going to teach you, again, that 90-90 position right here to keep you loading your scap the whole time. right? This is gonna teach you how to create stability at your shoulder blades, at your shoulder joint, and at your elbow joint at the same time. So all you're gonna do, get a kettlebell or a dumbbell that you have at home. You're gonna bring it up to 90 degree up here, 90 degree here. Again, we don't wanna hike that shoulder up, we wanna keep it down. You wanna lock that forward, the elbow is pointing in front, the wrist is nice and straight. You're gonna hold this here, keep that rib cage down. You can just stand or you can march like so if you don't have enough room, or if you have plenty of room, you can just walk. Right? The whole point is to create that stability. You can turn around, keep walking. From here, we want to do it in duration. So maybe 30 seconds or so that way you can feel that shoulder blades engaged the whole time. As you're doing this, pay attention to your posture as well. Try not to arch your back as you walk. You want to keep your rib cage down, your back nice and flat. So again, teaching your brain what it's like to load those shoulder blades, your scap, so that way by the time we put the ball in your hand, you know exactly how to load them before you throw. If you don't have enough space, you can find a good spot, march in place. That will also work as well. Again, it's gonna get tired pretty quickly. When you get tired, put that nice down, shake it off, wait a little bit, and then pick it back up again. I wouldn't do more than 20 to 30 seconds for 3 to 4 sets because we wanted this to be part of your routine, your warm up, and your cool down as well. So that's our third exercise. And then let's move on to the next one where we actually get to put the ball in your hand and learn to load that shoulder blade. All right, so next one, you just get really excited because you get to have like a little ball in your hand now. So you know what it's like to actually load your scap, right? Same thing as the first exercise. We're gonna put everything together, right? So if I'm here and have kneeling position, right? I can bring the ball here, load the scap, bring that up, right? So you see I'm loading everything back here, I'm rotating, right? From there, all I want you to do is stack everything up. You're gonna use your hip to rotate and you're just gonna follow through without throwing first. Come back, load, externally rotate, ball facing out, feel the tension right here, use the hip to drive, let it go. And I like to do 10 of these reps first so that way you feel what it's like when everything's working together. Again, if you do it right, you should feel all the tension in the back of your shoulder. You should feel a nice stretch here. So you follow through, the arm's not doing much at all. It's the hip and the shoulder blades that delivering the ball, right? The analogy I like to use when it comes to pitching is that the ball itself right here is the food. The arm is the waiter. Your hips, your core, that's the chef, right? This is the kitchen. That's cooking all the food. That's driving all the power. The arm itself is just delivering the food to where you need to be. Ball facing out, load the hips, drive, arm nice and relaxed. When you decelerate, once you do a handful of these and you feel really good, you can get closer to the wall and you can actually release the ball and see how that feels. Because it should feel effortless. You should feel like I'm not using my arms at all. I'm just flicking my wrist and I'm just following through and the hips is doing all the work. Like so, right? Come back, load, externally rotate, face out, hips doing all the work. Again, you build up your intensity when it comes to this. And if you want to go harder, you rotate more at the hips and the arms just follow through more. So you're a parent watching this, you have a young athlete that's started throwing, teach them the proper mechanics so that way they have a long, healthy career. So that way they don't have to keep dealing with consistent injury throughout their whole entire career. Load the hips, follow through. So that's how we put everything together. I got one more bonus exercise for you guys. This is gonna teach you to engage the hip, load the scap at the same time. This is how pitching mechanics should be, especially from a wind-up phase into loading into front foot strike. So let's get right into that one. All right, guys, so this is the bonus one. This is gonna teach you what it's like to load, sink into your hips while loading that scap at the same time. So just like the farmer's carry that we were doing, we're gonna get kettlebell or dumbbell right here. You get that 90-degree angle right here. You get a box where you can comfortably sit. And all I'm gonna teach you is get into a stand face right here, a wind-up face. And all you're gonna do is slowly sit into the box. As you're sitting, you wanna slowly externally rotate into here. So from there, you get to load the scap, load the hip at the same time. Come back, tall, come back down, tall, feel the hips, sit and load the scap at the same time. Come back up. This is something that you can do at home to keep working on your mechanics. And if you have any disconnection when it comes to your hips, your scap and your core, you're gonna feel it right here. Again, this is what we call dry reps. So we have someone that come in there are post UCL reconstruction or Tommy John's. To get them back on the mount, we teach them this as early as possible. And again, I like to go good quality reps, so it doesn't matter how many reps you do. I like to go 5 to 8 as long as the quality control is there, because we want to teach good mechanic, good habits, because that's going to build a good foundation. So when you get back on the mount, you have full confidence, and the fact that you have that elbow pain to begin with, it's always going to be in the back of your head. I want you to go back on the mount with full confidence. So the last thing you're thinking about is what's happening to your elbow when you're releasing the ball. Because you're doing the right thing, you're not going to feel that pain. So if you guys like this video, please subscribe, like, and share. And if you have more video you want to take a look at, we did an arm care video where we did the thrower tens video right there. You can check out our playlist. That should be your arm care routine. And if you have an elbow pain, we did a video over here to help you get rid of that elbow pain. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll see you next time.